Hi everyone, this is Dave with DBS Tech Talk, and today we're going to talk about another controversial topic that a lot of people debate and say, you know, nothing to worry about, everything to worry about, change it all matters, all types of things that come up. And so we're going to talk about cables. And I'm going to talk about my experience. Do I use the stock cable in my headphones or do I use a third party cable? And do I notice a sonic difference? Do I notice any type of difference? And also a few of the accessories that I use. So let's go ahead and jump right in. Let's start with a few pairs of headphones. First one up is going to be the M560 cable. And this is a monoprice M560 cable. It's a stock cable, not the greatest, but not the worst. Has a nice fabric feel to it. Is a little bit on the jiggly side, but it does lay flat when you use it. Has a nice connector, a 3.5 millimeter male, and splits into two 3.5 millimeters. It is fairly lengthy. It's not a choke collar, but it does its job for those headphones. I wasn't going to replace them. I replaced the pads on them, but I wasn't going to replace the cable, as I don't really like those headphones anyways, so I don't see a reason for it. Next up is the Marantz Pro MPH2 cable, and this thing is long. It is a rubbery feel to it. It does straighten out fairly nicely. Never truly get the full straightness out of it, being kind of a cheapy rubber, but it's not bad. Has a proprietary connector going into the headphone with, you have to follow the arrows and then twist it and it locks into place. Has a fairly long entry point, so if you were to do a replacement cable on it, you would have to find something with a really skinny tip and long. The end of it is a screw-on 6.35 millimeter into a 3.5 millimeter. Typical adapter for a cheap headphone. These were $40. I am not going to replace the cable on this. This one's adequate, plenty of length, and doesn't really get in the way when you're using it. If it does break, you can get replacements from a company called Lixpro, which makes the cheaper version of the same headphone, or the same headphone, I should say, not cheaper. And they sell replacement cables for $10. You can get a coiled cable or the straight cable. The HE350 is built similarly to the Marantz Pro's headphone cable. Rubbery, doesn't really ever straighten out. This one though does have 2.5 millimeters on it. They are marked left and right, which makes it nice. Has a nice little plasticky split. It's a little short, but it's not terribly bad. Terminates into a 90 with a slight step down. It's not a horrid cable. Works as a good backup. And I use this. I don't use that though, but I do use a couple of aftermarket cables, and I will show you those. Right, if I can get them separated here. Here we go. This is a cable made by KK Cable Company. It's found on Amazon. It was like $30. Originally purchased it for my Advanced Alpha, but it's found a home on the 350. It is a little bit stiff. This cable is part is fabric. Terminates into a metal stainless steel tip. Has a nice connector on it. 3.5 millimeter gold tipped. Goes into a nice strain. The split is heat trapped, and then these cables are actually like a rubbery cable. Little stiff, not super flexy. Terminates into 2.5 millimeters, and they are marked red and blue for right and left. It's a nice cable, a little stiff though, and a little short. Another one that I had purchased for my Advanced Alpha, but they didn't work out properly, is another cable made by KK Cable, and this one is fabric and 6 foot long, which is perfect. Terminates into a 6.35 millimeter metal with a little black carbon fiber look to it. Very nice cable. Fabric, nice weave to it. Terminates into a little splitter that matches the connector. And then this is all the fabric material. And again, they are marked red and blue for left and right. Very quality feel, very nice cable. And this one has found a home on my HE350. Now this one was a little pricey, it was 40 bucks. But why did I buy it? I originally bought it for a different headphone, but it didn't work with that. And it's a nice quality, and it just feels better than the stock cable. Do I notice any sonic differences? Absolutely not. But the quality just feels better. Next cable that I'm going to discuss is the Beyerdynamic Custom Studio. I do not have the original cable anywhere, cannot find it. But I remember I hated it. It was a coiled cable that was super heavy and knocked everything off my desk whenever I went to move it because it was stiff and I just didn't care for it. So I went and purchased a third-party cable, and this thing disappointed me even more than the stock cable. And so when I got this, I don't even remember the name of the brand, Neo Musica maybe, from Amazon, and you would think for like $20 it would be good, but it's crap. You put it in and it just immediately coiled up. It never really truly straightened out unless you let it sit for days on end, and then if you store it in any way, it will take the shape of the form that you stored it in. And also, I don't care for the color. It was supposed to be silver, but it's more like a sand taupe. I don't know. It's just ugly. I don't care for the cable. It's short and it's never straightens. Piece of junk. Don't buy it. So I went and got a auxiliary cable from iCross. Believe it or not, they were dirt cheap. It was like $7 on Amazon. Terminates into the 3.5 millimeters on both ends, and it fits the hole on the Custom Studio. It goes right in, no connection problems, nothing. You don't have to worry about the little cutout that they have in there. It slides right in next to that, and it's 10 foot long. It's a little stiff, but it doesn't wind up and knock things off my desk like that Neo Musica one did. And it's a cheap auxiliary cable that actually works with my headphones, and I highly recommend it. So if you have Custom Studios and you need a replacement cable, I hear the V-Motives work well, and now you know the iCross auxiliary cables work. They come in two different colors as far as I know, the blue and black that I have, and red and black stripe, or green and maybe, no, it's green and black stripe. Like a tealy green. I guess it's more blue than black. Next we have the Monoprice M1060 cable. Again, just like the 560 cable, it's fabric, but this thing is short. Mega short. Of course, I have version 1, which is the MMXC, CX, whatever you want to call it. Terminates into a very nice 90-degree metal connector with a step down. These connectors never really worked with the headphone. Every time I would put them on, they would disconnect, or I'd get balance issues. And so even though it's a nice cable, short, I just never used it. The gentleman that sold me the headphones actually sent me another pair that he used, and it's a nice pair. Terminates into a straight 3.5, has nice cabling, very good cores and braiding and all that kind of stuff. Has a nice metal split. I do not know the manufacturer of this, I do apologize. And then it has this, at the connectors, they're metal up top, which is nice, but they have this plastic sleeve on it that I couldn't get removed, and it's just too stiff and on the shoulders, and it banged around. I just didn't care for that feel. And then I ended up having the same connection issue that I had on the stock one, which is imbalances. You plug them in and you'd start to get some static and stuff every now and then. You'd have to jiggle the handle and get them in proper place. And so these have gone on the wayside also. I went and purchased another little cable. This was like $7 on Amazon. It's blue. They also have black. and a couple other colors. And I'm sorry, I don't remember the manufacturer of it, but it's really cheap. Has a nice straight 3.5 millimeter, just like the other one that he had sent, but the difference on this is it does not have the plastic sleeve on it for the memory to go around your ear like they do for in-ears. And so this actually just sits on your, like a normal headphone cable would, and doesn't bounce around and touch my shoulders or do any issues like that. I added the tape on it so I could differentiate left and right. And it's short, but you can use extension cable on it. No sonic differences on any of the cables that I have mentioned so far. Last is the Advanced Alpha, and this cable is probably the nicest cable that I have ever gotten with a headphone. It is wonderfully made, a great quality, very nice cabling. You can twist it and just see all the different braiding. Has a really nice feel on the end connector, goes to a 3.5 with a step down, and it has a nice, I don't know if that's plastic or not, but it's got a really nice split. They feel nice when they go on. They don't really twist and turn. They have nice marking on the ends for black and red for right and left. 2.5 millimeter in. The only problem is it's short. And it feels a little thin. I mean, it's a nice quality, but it feels like an IEM cable instead of a headphone cable. And when you have an Advanced Alpha that is just a nice quality built headphone, I feel like you need something that feels more durable. And this cable just, it doesn't feel it. Plus it's brown, and I like my headphones to match in some way. I'm picky that way. I like my cables and everything. Just I don't know. It's nice. It works, but it just didn't float the boat for me. And so I went looking, and I had gotten those two that I use for my HE350. And the problem with those is on the one with the 6.35 connector, where they connected into the headphone, the connectors were different than the ones for the Alpha, so it didn't work at all. The smaller one, the KK cable one, the smaller one, shorter one, and the little more stiffer one actually works, but because that cable's so stiff, I didn't care for using it. So I have two other cables that I used with my Advanced Alpha. First one is the Hi-Fi Min OFC hybrid cable, and believe it or not, this is the most expensive cable I have ever bought. This is the 2-meter version, and it is a really nice cable. Costs $80 from the Hi-Fi Min store. You really can't find it anywhere else. If you find it on eBay, it's going to be the same price. You find it on Amazon, and it's going to be ridiculously priced. Nice cable, a little stiff. I'm still trying to straighten it out, as I just got this a couple days ago. So you have to kind of twist it a little bit to loosen it up. It did straighten out all last night, and it's probably going to go back out and get straightened a little bit more tonight. Has a really nice long, where the split is, the cables are really nice and long. So you don't have any issue with it banging on your shoulders or thumping around, getting caught on things. It fits really well. The adapter on it is the standard Hi-Fi Min 90-degree angle with the little step down, and sonically, I don't know if it's because I paid $80 for the cable or if this cable's actually better, but in my opinion, I actually do think it sounds a little more clear. Not like, wow, you know, it was muffled before and now it's like clear as a brook running water. But no, it's not like that. But it just kind of feels like, or sounds like, some of the distortion is gone from my Advanced Alpha. Not that they are very distorted, they're really clear headphone to begin with, but it just feels like some of the graininess in the extended bass and in the extended treble is gone. And just very slightly. I could just be over exaggerating. So take that with a grain of salt. But you know what? There might be something to higher quality cables. The other cable that I have, I found on eBay, and it was by a gentleman named Bushman Cable. And this is terminated into a 6.35 millimeter. Very nice cable. Feels a lot like a microphone cable would. Has nice heat shrink for the adapter split, and then it has a nice braided cable going in. They are marked left and right by color, and then they're heat shrinked over the adapter. They go in and they work wonderfully with the Alpha. Similarly to other cables, and this may just be my advanced Alpha, I don't know if other people have had this issue, but when you plug in different cables, you kind of have to twist them just a little bit, jiggle the handle, so to speak, in order to get them to sound properly. These have to be pulled out just a little bit. So I'm not sure if Advanced Alpha has a unique port inside there, because their cable looks identical. But there's something about the way that theirs go in, and you don't really have to twist and jiggle the handle, so to speak, to get them to sound. But all the third-party ones I've had to do that. Once they're in place, they don't move and they sound fantastic. And just like the Hi-Fi-Man cable, I notice a slight sonic difference. And they just seem to open up the sound a little bit versus the stock cable or any other cables. I don't notice it with anything else, any of the other ones. But because these are my two most expensive cables I have, this one being $60 and the Hi-Fi-Man one being $80, I have noticed a little bit of a difference. Maybe I'm just crazy, maybe I'm just placebo effect because I paid extra money on them. I don't know. But there may be something to higher end cables in a very minute, small way. I'm not saying you're going to notice a tremendously huge difference. And I mean, who knows? Maybe if you buy $1,000 cable, it's going to be like, oh, wow. Yeah, but I'm never going to pay $1,000 for a headphone cable. I just don't see a reason for it. Let's go over quickly some of the adapters and accessories that I use. First off, adapters. I have 2 recommendations and 1 non-recommendation. First recommendation is by a company called Seismic Audio, and they make really nice 1/4-inch adapters. They do make 2 different kinds. They have ones that have the little cutout if you have a step down, and they also have ones that don't. I prefer the ones that don't, and their quality is great. They don't slip and slide when you plug them into a headphone. They're very sturdy and hard to pull out, but not to the point where you're going to break your equipment. They're not going to just fall out. Also, they connect very nicely into your amp the same way. Monoprice, on the other hand, I've had issues with every single adapter I've ever gotten from them. And where I have problems is right here, where you're in the female port, where your headphone goes in. They just seem to pull out mega easy. Some of them I've even held like this and the cable's just falling out. So I like Monoprice in a lot of things, but their adapters I've had issues with. I mean, they're well built. They have this little plastic piece on them. Great for that. Don't really have a problem with them going in on the amps too much. Every now and then I've had them pulling out a little bit. But Seismic Audio is who I recommend. If you need to have 2 sources going into 1 amp or 2 amps connected to, however you want to do it, these little adapters are nice. 2 females and 1 male. You can also give them 1 female, 2 males, whichever way you want to do them. These are from Seismic Audio. Also, they connect very well, and they're hard to pull apart. They have very good clamp on the RCAs and jacks, and I just find these to be a very useful piece of accessory. Can be used for multiple things. Cables. Seismic Audio, again, they make very nice RCA cable. Have a nice adapter on them. Again, the jack connects in and doesn't pull out, is not loose or anything. The cabling itself has a nice little rubber feel, but it's not stiff. It's very flexy. You can move it into whatever position you want. And this is the short version. They do have a longer version also. I love red cables, so there you go. Also, got these. These are from that one company that has the bad name that starts with S and ends in T. But the cables aren't bad at all. Very nicely terminated, but they are a little stiff. So be prepared for that. If you want a really quality cable, these are great. Piston cables are great, but they are stiff, whereas the seismics are a little more flexy. Plus the seismics are slightly cheaper, but both are very good, high quality. USB cables, I needed a USB-C to USB, is this A, I think it is, whatever one it is that plugs into DACs. And the one that I got with my Cyan N3 was not good at all, wouldn't even stay connected into the DAP. So I went and looked on Amazon, and Chroma Cable made this. This is a little bit longer, also makes it nice so that you can just plug it in and have your DAP or whatever sitting over here instead of having to reach over and touch it every single time. Very well built, very nice connectors, has those little diffuser things on there so you don't get any interference. Cable can be straightened out very nicely. It's a little heavier duty quality rubber. Great build, highly recommend. Stays put whatever you connect it into. Also, USB-C to, I have another USB-C, I'm sorry, not USB-C, USB-B to whatever that one is, and from Chroma, and I have that connected in so that if I bring my laptop over, I can just plug in my USB 3.0 to it. Works great, same quality build. So Chroma Cable is who I recommend. Plus you get it in red. Seismic Audio again. This is a extension cable, 3.5 millimeter in, 3.5 out. This is a nice extension. It's not the greatest extension. Does not have a step down, and I find that it actually is a little bit easier to pull out than their other stuff. So their extension, this one is not the greatest, unfortunately. Another company that I tried was Foss Power. Foss Power I've tried other stuff with, like USB-C charging cables for my cell phone and things like that, and work great. But their extension cable, nice length, terrible rubbery, cannot straighten, too stiff, and seems like no matter where you have it placed, it's going to knock something off. It's just too stiff. Has nice connections though, fits well into headphones, doesn't pull apart or anything like that, and it looks nice. It's got that chrome metallic color to it, but it's just a little too stiff for my liking. This is my other connector. I don't remember what company this is, I'm sorry. This was like $8 on Amazon. Connects into a 6.35 millimeter and 3.5 millimeter on this end. It's 10 foot long. Cable is nice and straight, softer than the Foss Power, and lays flat, and I can walk around my whole office with it plugged in to my headphones and amp. Wire management. Found these on Amazon. They're made by Needlework. They were like $12 for a pack of 5, and they're just leather with a buckle on them, and they snap together. You can fit your cables right in. However you want to fold your cable is fine for it. It'll fit most of them. Some of the thicker ones don't fit as well, so just bear that in mind. They do have different lengths of these also, and there you go. Easy to store, and you don't get a big old huge mess of jumbled cables. Again, you get 5 of them for like, I think it was $12, $10 or $12. And folks, those are the cables I use. I do have others around the house, but I'm not going to dig up every single pair. These are the ones that I use on a regular basis, other than the ones that are currently plugged into my 2 DACs and amps, and that is some cables I found on eBay. I didn't realize that they were Monster cables until they came, but they say Monster on them, and they're very well built. And in fact, I might be able to disconnect them. Give me a moment. There you go. So they are red and black. Of course, you gotta go with red or black. At least I do. They're very nicely built. They say Monster cable right here on the adapters. Shrink wrap at the ends, and they have these little diffuser things on here, and done at the same way, red and black, very well marked. And they're about 1 foot long. Pretty flexible. They're not as flexy as the Seismic Audios, but they're not as stiff as the piston cables. And these are currently plugged in. I have 2 sets of them so that I match, and they're plugged into my different DACs and amps. So there you go, folks. Everything that I use cable wise, don't really notice any sonic differences when I change cables, other than on the Advanced Alpha when I use the HiFiMan OFC hybrid and the cable Bushman cables cable. But it wasn't so significant that I was just absolutely blown away. It was more of just a slight, I think I hear that, but it could have also been, hey, I spent $80 for these and I've spent $60 for these, so yeah, I hear a difference. But anyways, that's it, folks, for today. Thank you for watching this video. This has been Dave with DBS Tech Talk, and I'll talk to you the next time.